space and round. Earth is the place. The moon makes light so cool at night. The luminaries, they all rotate around you. From the point of truth, is in your mind. The edge is in your mind. The edge is in your mind. Exit the dome, new lands to roam. Into your brain, the infinite plane. The edge is in your mind. 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 There is no cliff, for you will not. Blackbird moves on to the new sun of dawn. Exit the dome, new lands to roam. Into your brain, the infinite plane. The edge is in your mind. 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 Edge is in your mind. The edge is in your mind. The edge is in your mind. The edge is in your mind.
Okay, I'm getting started a little bit early to make sure that everybody's on the same sheet, and I think we're doing fine. However, I set up a stream in advance so everyone could file in, and that one's not activating. I'm on 18 platforms. We're on multiple YouTube channels, and that one over there isn't on. Buffering that's on your end has nothing to do with me. Donnie the Dead says, as an Elvis fan, this is a lot of fun. Yeah, so basically, I'm going to get, my phones do work, so I'm going to get the call. We're not going to miss anything, but there's a lot of people who are going to be likely stranded if we're not able to get them over here. So maybe I'm just going to have to go over there manually and add it as a secondary video. So I'll be back here in just a moment. I suppose I'm going to play a video here, a collection of 113 Seattle predictive programming. So prepare for programming.
I want a world where you aren't ridiculed for trying to help. A world where a nice girl that I liked isn't turned into another Eric Cartman. These Canadians are in the way of that world, and everything they do and everything they have done needs to be erased from the earth.
Oh, everyone's in the gymnasium now!
You heard her! Move it, people! I'll have to make sure all the classrooms are empty. You go take cover.
So what you're looking at is this school drill. They're all being hustled into rooms. And then here, Trump makes the decision, as you'll see here, to nuke the Space Needle.
Of the mess, we'll take the world together. We'll take them by the hand.
Well, that's a Space Needle. I don't know if the Space Needle. Anyway, we have many examples here of predictive programming that I was going to point to today while I was waiting for people to show up. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get some other way. I'm trying to look. We have a whole other channel out there and it says that it's waiting on me and I'm here and I don't know why it's not on. So forgive me here, just 30 seconds or so I should have it plugged in. I'm just adding it as yet another backup. So I'm going to have to hide my screen so you don't see my streaming keys, turning my phones back on. I'll be back here in just a moment here. This is Auto Hoax by Chief Crow and the Flat Earth Worms. Sit tight, and I believe JL is going to be calling in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Here I am. I'm on Auto Hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes.
My buddy and me.
Telecommunications Act of 1996.
96, y'all.
Gonna filter your eyes and scrub your mind. The weatherman, he's just another bad joke. You can be a doomed little donkey like Eeyore. I'ma be an auto hoax. Auto hoax, and it feels so good. You just auto believe everything like I knew that you would. In my dream, you know I ain't got time, baby, for another crisis actor with soulless eyes. Ain't got no heart, ain't got no soul. Weather, maps, TV, bones, books, secrets, symbols, numbers, planets, etc. Nobody
All right, thank you everyone for your patience. So we're about 7 or 8 minutes before JL, Jewrassicliars, calls in. And my phones are on, everything is operational and ready to go. So we are awaiting his call at his leisure, but I figured we have a few minutes here. So let me go ahead and say hello to the chat. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to post them below. I'm pretty sure we're both going to be watching the comments. And I've already highlighted a number of questions that I saw in the Discord server, and all of those will be brought up. So if you post anything there, and if you still are, I will see it. All right, yes, apparently we were glitched out. That was kind of strange. One of the channels got shot down, but that's why we have multiple. So we're letting people file in. Donnie the Dead says, back, I got kicked out. Yeah, I noted your question as well. Crypto Freedom Media says, do you know about Berlin today? I heard JL talking about Berlin. In fact, I have a pile of notes here. Here we go. Questions, things I want to follow up on from last time. Berlin crash. Oh yeah, the car crash. Yes. PR stunts. That's what these are. They're public relations stunts. And they dress it up with horror so you think it's an actual attack, but... Alright, looks like we're joined by Private Wars. JT, AngstG, Rocco, Danzig, Copaesthetic, Zachary K. Estain, that can't be a real person, Evil Coyote, Garrett Summers, Creator Knows. You know, I heard that Zachary Hubbard is going to be in Seattle, which, you know, to me, I'm just thinking, you know, good for you being a reporter. But it depends on what your take is on this. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have my reasons for looking at this date. And my view of the media is informed by my understanding of how fake it is and how PR stunt driven it is. It's all one massive protracted war. It's all perception management. It's ruled through theater and mind war. As Thomas Aquinas, the splinter group from the Church of Satan's founder, the Temple of Set, their founder wrote a book called Mind Wars, kind of a pamphlet, about how you could have a less destructive form of managing the public. And you can do so by controlling their minds instead of having them, you know, shoot each other and blow each other up. If you're new in the chat and you see yourself possessed of a blue wrench, please abuse the power responsibly. We're just getting rid of bots. They're either bots or they're a bunch of disgruntled YouTube employees with sock accounts launching a relentless campaign of harassment, sexual harassment, if you want to get down to it, on my chatters. It's pretty bad. I'm sort of scarred, so if you see him, just whack them with a wrench. Creator No says, can't thank you enough for your efforts. Heather Love says, Hollywood. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Hollywood. There's a script called Hollywood that I was looking at today earlier when we were live. And Marilyn Manson wrote a script called Hollywood. And this is the craziest thing because the video for the song Coma White was based on this script. And in this video, it has JFK as basically Jesus as the second coming. And this is what the QAnoners believe, which is just, it's nonsense. But this is indication that it's not a new idea. And as you'll see here, I'm just going to go straight to a still shot. This video, interestingly enough, the concept of it is JFK was the second coming and the deep state shot him. Or he was killed in this video anyway. The noners say the deep state killed him. So here we are looking at a Marilyn Manson video where it has John F. Kennedy on a cross after it has him on a cross. So the significance here, it's not just shock value. It's not just a blasphemous thing. What they're trying to do here is, what this video is about, is this idea that JFK was the second coming and he got shot. And that the people in mourning are waiting for the third Jesus, who they call President White. And this would correspond to JFK Jr., which, interestingly enough, when the video came out, they delayed it because JFK Jr. had just crashed. So you have this interesting tie-in where he had to give a statement apologizing that his video so accurately predicted the future. You don't see that kind of thing very often anymore. But it just seems like this is another example, though, of how they steer the public's perception of things. And in this case, they made this clear association between JFK Jr. and this third character that the video is about. And this is what the QAnoners are waiting on. It's this new Christ, and it's totally blasphemous. It's just absurd, but it just shows you how crazy these times are and what people are willing to believe. All right, I'm going through your comments. Everyone's a mod, says Private Wars. Yeah, if you're a mod, it proves you're not a robot. Thanks for joining, exploring. Leslie Kogan says, I love your energy, Zach. I received your divine energies. Oh, Zach Hubbard's in the chat. No, it's not Zach Hubbard. That's a fake. I don't give fakes wrenches. Colin Pinard says, JFK was replaced by that cop that looked like him. Yeah, I've seen that. What about Robert Kennedy? Okay, Robert Kennedy was killed by Saran Saran. Robert was 42. Saran Saran shot him with a .22. And as he fell dying, he was photographed by Richard Drew, AP photographer. So AP photographer photographs Robert Kennedy as he's falling and dying, and then at 9/11, he photographs the falling man. You know, the guy. If you look at 9/11 and you type about falling man, you probably all know the one I'm talking about. It's the photograph taken by Richard Drew of a man falling from the World Trade Center. Obviously, this is photoshopped. I mean, these things have been deconstructed. So, what you're looking at here is all theater. And this is part of a psyop. And this is another connection. And you'll find many interesting links between the Kennedys and 9/11. But here's just another case of this Kennedy 9/11 connection. Same photographer photographed this guy and managed to also photograph RFK as he was falling dead. And of course, this is something else I can add on to this. Elton John, Rocket Man, owns the falling man photo, which technically is like a snuff film or a snuff photo. Who buys pictures of people dying? Elton John owns the biggest collection of 9/11 photographs in the world, 2,000 of them. Images ranging from amateur snappers, groundwork by Magnum photojournalists. Quote, I have The Falling Man by Richard Drew. It's one of the most beautiful and powerful and upsetting images ever. This is why it's not hard to believe that these celebrities are into some real sick stuff. I mean, here this guy is with pictures of a crime scene plastered all over his wall, and he calls this photo of this man falling to his death the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. And this is Rocket Man. And now here's an interesting connection too, and I'll bring this up with JL, is Rocket Man on 2222, look up Elton John, the headlines were about his near-death experience. On 2222, Elton John's private jet forced to make emergency landing. And the descriptions of the people on the ground were essentially that they were in horror. Infinite Plane Radio, is this JL?
Private jet.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hey, good to hear from you. Right on time. And I already have a good chat here.
So what were you guys just talking about?
So the first
What's
thing,
the last thing?
Elton John, Rocket Man, is what I was talking about, and how he owns 2,000 photos from 9/11.
Wow, that's crazy. And obviously, you know that all the Rocket Man connections. You have that David Bowie who sang a Rocket Man. You had Elton John who sang Rocket Man, and there was a Rocket Man movie that came out recently, like I think 2 years ago or whatever. I don't remember now. But,
yeah, that was Mad Mike Hughes was Rocket Man, and he crashed on 2/22/2020.
Yep, exactly. I did videos on that. Yep, absolutely. And the most important thing is that David Bowie, who's does the Rocket Man, he's born on Elvis's birthday, January 8th. But the most craziest thing is stupid Trump. He calls Kim Ding Dong, the North Korean dictator, he calls him Rocket Man because Kim Ding Dong is born on January 8th, Elvis's birthday.
Yeah, that's a huge connection. And we have the common theme, Rocket Man, which I think also pertains to Starman, which was the rock star man of David Bowie in space in effigy. But, I was thinking about this thing. When we saw David Bowie in space, and he has Elvis's birthday, and his album Black Star came out on Elvis's birthday, so there's that cemented connection there. But what's more, I think that connects to, or it's a continuation of what Elvis did in '73, when he beamed his concert via satellite. It was the first concert by satellite, whatever people believe about orbit or whatever. The fact is, they had his message beaming down from space as this rock star. So it's a reoccurring theme, and I think it ties into the idea that Elvis is being presented as some kind of alien savior in the archetype here.
Yeah, exactly. There was even in the X-Files, they had an episode like that where they were showing some alien dressed in Elvis's cape coming out of a, like a Space Needle type saucer.
Wow. See, what is with that? What is with this? See, there's a lot here. Elvis and alien savior, this
Hello?
theme. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's weird. It keeps breaking up, but go ahead.
Yeah, this Elvis as alien savior thing is intriguing to me because, like yesterday, or the other day, we were talking about William Dafoe plays a guy named Elvis on a movie that comes out on Elvis's birthday, and he is the savior for the world from this plague, which ties into the idea of some creator of a vax, and that ties into, of course,
Yeah.
that
So
thing.
yeah, what's incredible about that is not only is his name Elvis, and vampires, they live forever, type of thing, right? But he he was going. But if they're in the sunlight or light or whatever, they get burned up. So he was somehow caught in the light, and he was going as fast as he can to, because he couldn't get out of the light. That William Defoe, his name is Elvis in the show. He's going as fast as he can. He runs his car into a brick wall or whatever, into a wall, and he goes flying out of the windshield of his car, and he's like on fire as he's going out because the sunlight is destroying him. But his body goes flying into the water, and he comes out of the water saved, rebirth. See, that's what that is. That's what saved him, is that he was born again. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yes, and it ties in, of course, to his car being a firebird, a phoenix, and Elvis being the phoenix. I mean, this is real intense ritualistic imagery in plain sight, and most people think it's just entertainment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. If I hesitate, it's because you keep breaking up. I'm sorry.
I'll close some windows and see if I can fix that. Now, here's something I wanted to bring up then, since we're 2 days away from 6/11, and
Wait.
Yes.
Hold on. Can you write that down? No, not write it down, but don't forget what you're going to say, because
Sure.
it's important that one part about what I was just talking about, because in that movie, like I said, he comes out, he was born again out of the water, because I'm saying that Elvis is the beast out of the sea, right? But he doesn't have to technically come out of the sea. It's his name, his image, the number of his name. That's what the Antichrist is in the Bible. It doesn't have to be a literal Elvis coming out. It's just his name, his image, the number of his name. That's what the Bible says, and that's what's going to happen. And the word, and if you put Elvis birthday into the gematria calculator, Elvis birthday, it equals the word the Antichrist. Exact words, the Antichrist, exact numbers.
Fascinating. So,
And one more thing.
Yeah, go on,
One more
because
thing.
this is all still
I'm
pertaining
sorry.
to the same movie. I have a few other
Because
points
if I
about that one.
don't say it, I'll forget, because I have too much stuff in my head. So also, this year was the water tiger year, and Elvis equals water. It only comes every 60 years, this water tiger thing. The tiger stuff comes more often, but not the water tiger. And this year, the last time it was a water tiger year was the year the Space Needle opened, back in '62. And if you put Elvis Tiger Man into the gematria calculator, it equals the exact same numbers as the Antichrist. We're not talking about one number; all the numbers match.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. That's one of the main points here, is that this isn't a few cherry pick coincidences. And I heard you on your last stream talking about the Seattle stuff, because there's a lot of Seattle stuff out there. How none of them addressed your content, or how you were making your connections. And so here we're looking at, there are media predictive programming connections, but what you're looking at are connections that go into the names, the timing of the dates of their births, and then all of these other connections that correlate to the gematria, or the numerical value of the names. And this is the stuff that really stands out to me. Like specifically, March for Our Lives is on Saturday, and I did look into it, and they did not cancel in Seattle. The March for Our Lives protests are going on in a number of locations in Portland, Seattle. In fact, they start 11 a.m. on Saturday. And
Wait. Did they cancel the Seattle one, or no?
Nope, they're going to be in Snohomish County Plaza, Redmond City Hall, Siebold Hall, and Minette Bridge. And then they're going to be in Portland as well. And they're saying, this is what March for Our Lives is saying. They're saying 311,000 students from 331 schools have been shot at, or have been at schools where these things have happened. So they threw in these numbers, 311, 331. But yes, it's going on the 11th. And so, to my point here, though, is that you're the one who brought up March for Our Lives, March for Our Elvis, our whatever he
Exactly.
is, the savior, the
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep, it's the anagram. That's what the Black Lives Matter was all about. They had to figure out a way to get the word Elvis all across America, and they did it. They had Black Lives Matter everywhere because the word lives is lives, and the word lives, lives, Levi's is Elvis, or Evils, and Dr. Evil, his, that Dr. Evil character from that Austin Powers, he was in the Space Needle as his headquarters.
Yeah, I saw that on your channel, and I'm like, wait, this is the guy that's been connected very strongly with Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Blue Origin. And Bezos was in a cartoon called Inside Job, a 9/11 reference, and he's in his yacht, and a Kraken out there takes him out. And I'm like, interesting, because I'm finding a lot of Bezos Dr. Evil connections, and Bezos being taken down, his headquarters being the Space Needle as Dr. or Dr. Satan or Mr. Evil, excuse me. It's kind of
Evils. Because if you say Dr. Evil's headquarters, it's spelled Evils, so it spells the word Elvis.
I see that. Now,
anagram.
So
Yeah.
this Black Lives Matter thing is fascinating too because I looked at that year as it was unfolding and I monitored, we recorded these things and noted these numbers and symbols they're using. And 42 was written all over the summer of 2020, all over BLM with the sports figures all tying into this stuff. And I have a list of these things. But my one of the connections here, though, you made is Black Lives Matter. They're marching, and you're suggesting that they're marching for some other cause or something. And I agree with that because everything they're doing is just too perfectly ritualistic. The kneeling, for example, and even the stuff they were spray painting. They were spray painting ACAB for All Cops Are Bastards, ACAB 1312.
All right.
1312 happens to be the year that the Knights Templar went underground when they were banned. So I think that what we were seeing with them kneeling and the 1312 and all these things are just kind of hints at who's pulling the strings. I don't know who specifically, but I think all of these groups, all these protest groups are definitely managed behind the scenes. But even Hands Up, Don't Shoot, that comes out of the Masonic distress sign. So we're seeing a huge puppet show. And you could see they had the whole world marching behind their Pied Pipers to some hidden agenda.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt that the minions of Satan are behind these protesters. I mean, there's just not even a doubt, right? And let's not forget, like I said, that Levi's is also an anagram for Elvis, and everybody wore Levi's. Everybody, still to this day, they still wear Levi's because it's basically because I told you that Elvis is going to be part of the mark of the beast. So basically, everyone's going to have his mark, just like everyone wore his pants. You're wearing Elvis when you were wearing your Levi's, and the Levi's logo had an upside down crown as its logo. The Levi's Elvis.
Yes, yes. And okay, so this is a fascinating one because you said Elvis and Black Lives Matter, and Elvis is the Black Star. The Bowie album Black Star connects to the same concept, this Starman, this savior. And so Elvis and Levi you mentioned. Well, I was looking at Leviathan and finding many interesting connections between the biblical Leviathan, this beast in the sea, to this Kraken concept that's been brought back time and again. And for example, Anton LaVey, Church, the Satanic Church. If you take his name, you can almost make a perfect anagram, Leviathan, out of Anton and so then their symbol, their pentagram in Hebrew around it spells Leviathan, and so they're facing the west. They pray to the west, and they call up Leviathan in all of their prayers, and the guy's name is Leviathan coded into it. And in the back of the Satanic Rituals books, they actually have spells out of H.P. Lovecraft's mythos about this Kraken-like entity beneath the sea, which they call Cthulhu, but they use them interchangeably with Leviathan. So the Leviathan connection is something I was noting here.
Yeah, and yeah, like you said, Levi is close to the word Elvis, right? And man, I forgot what I was going to say. Hold on, because I'm trying to think ahead too, because I'm trying to listen to what you're saying, so I get kind of
well, here's
confused.
one. Could you perhaps clarify on this one or bring people up to speed on this? Because on my channel, we've been following all these various references, this coming Kraken phenomenon, whatever it is. And then I hear you talking about the beast from the sea, March for our Elvis. And you started talking about some of these connections that make Elvis associated with water. Here you were talking about some of the gematria connections, but for people who don't know, could you explain the CC Rider thing? Perhaps as a good
Oh
starting
yeah.
point.
So Elvis in gematria equals the word water, and it also equals the word reset. I mean, when I say something equals the exact same, every number equals the same, not just one number of it. So when I say exactly, that's what that means. Anyway, so Elvis equals water, and it also equals reset because Elvis is the you know what reset. I don't want to say that other word, but anyway, uh, uh, I'm sorry. What was your
Okay,
question,
wait, wait.
man?
I was asking about
Oh,
CC Rider, and I'm getting so
oh
many
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
comments. So I'm taking note of things for anybody who's
Sorry,
listening.
sorry,
Go ahead, though.
sorry. So yeah, Elvis in his concerts, first of all, he would start with the music before he came out. He would start with the 2001 Space Odyssey music. Okay, and you know what happened on 2000 in 2001? The Twin Towers came down because Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth. His identical twin, and that's what that whole ritual of 9/11 was all about. Now, uh, the CC Rider, as soon as the 2001 Space Odyssey music was going on, when he was coming out in the concerts, the very first song he would sing was this song called CC Rider. So there's three ways to see that, the CC. You could see it as letters. C, the third letter is the C, and another three, because that's the 33, because Jesus died at the age of 33, and he rose from the dead at 33, because that's why the minions of Satan use the number 33 to mock God, because in all their fake stories, they use the number 33 as a suspect or the victim, or just in general, they put the 33 up there because it's the number of ascension. It's like the crown, because Jesus rose from the dead at 33. Anyway, so you could see the CC as a 3-3, and the other way you could see it is like when you look out your eyes, you see you're seeing, right? So you see that could be a different way, or it could be the water, CC, and he's the CC Rider, like he's hovering over the water, like the Holy Spirit did in Genesis 1, in the Old Testament, when God created everything, he was hovering over the waters. Anyway,
Yes,
go ahead.
yes. No, this is good because he's also January. So he's born in January, which makes him a Capricorn, early January, and a Capricorn is the sea goat, which you've mentioned before. He's the greatest of all time. That's how they typecast him, and the sea goat ties in as well here. And all of this is about the beast from the sea. And sea goat is an interesting connection here too. I mean, all this stuff is very interesting to me, but I didn't know about the 2001 Space Odyssey music playing at the beginning. And to me, that's huge because that ties in David Bowie's Starman because he's the space oddity that paralleled the space
Oh
odyssey.
yeah, that's a good point.
And this also explains why they had a David Bowie song in the new Top Gun movie. That they use music to reference these same exact characters, but as you were saying, Bowie was more or less filling in, his birth date. He was this rock star man. It seems like they have different ways of conveying the same messages, but it's all pointing to this Seattle Beast from the Sea and Elvis tied into it very intensely here. So,
Yeah, and speaking of the sea goat, real quick, January. Let me just get this out of the way. January is named after the two-faced god named Janus. Okay, because it's a two-faced, like it's looking forward and backward type of thing, and uh, so January is named after Janus. And if you add the letters EL to the word Janus, EL means God in Hebrew. So if you add EL to Janus, it equals the exact same numbers as Seattle. And it's very hard to make any word out of Seattle. That's why for it to equal EL Seattle, EL Janus equaling Seattle is a big deal. Okay? Because it won't do that with any other place. It only would do it with Seattle.
okay, since we're still on the topic of Elvis here too, someone in the comments had mentioned that Levi jeans, Levi's, and the crown, of course, royalty connects to all the same set of symbols. But Levi's also refers to jeans. And as we mentioned in the movie Daybreakers with William Dafoe, as the savior of the world, um, how do jeans tie into this? Is this part of this mark of the Beast and Elvis?
Yeah, the DNA. You're good because there's a song. Listen, if anybody here is listening, want to know exactly who the people, the minions of Satan who run this place we're in. If you want to know who they think Elvis is, go look at the lyrics, the full lyrics of the song "Elvis is Everywhere" by a band called Mojo Nixon, and then that will tell you who Elvis is to these people. That song. Anyway, so yeah, it's all about the genes, like your DNA. And what do you do with genes? You wash them, just like Washington. Get it? You wash them. You put in the the washing machine. It sounds like Washington, right? And because that's where Seattle is. And by the way, Elvis is known as the King, and Seattle's in King County. You know.
Yeah, these are great connections. And for people who don't know, the Space Needle takes 42 seconds to go up the elevator, and it's 42 meters wide. And there are many other 42s encoded into this thing. These are encoded structures like the Twin Towers were. And for one point I want to make here is that as much predictive programming as we saw for 9/11, there is much more looking at Seattle. And I have seen most of it seems to tie in with 113, but 113, in my view, is almost another way of representing the EL or 7-3 because it's 1 minute 13 seconds, and they've used this ritualistically, like with the destruction of the Challenger. 1 minute 13 seconds. After the twins went down, the new tower they almost named the Phoenix was opened on 113. So they often make a point of associating these things, and so this is where I'm coming from. For the most part, is I'm finding this big story being revealed, and it's just beneath the surface. And it's the latest few movies I've seen, the Batman movie, that really made the point that 611 or 11-6 in the Batman movie, but I think it's mirrored, that there's something happening and it involves this concept of a kraken. And this is why, again, the CC Rider and the Elvis connections and Beast from the Sea has really stood out to me. Now, I do have a couple of questions if you want to take some.
And by the way, January is abbreviated Jan, Jan. And if you put into the gematria calculator SEA, like, the C, SEA equals the exact same as the word JAN. So there's another connection to the sea goat, And the reason that the goat is so important, because, of course, it stands for the greatest of all time, right? And what happened, I think it was either last year or the year before. I can't remember now. I'm kind of like frazzled with the time, but there was a tournament called the GOAT tournament. From Jeopardy. The show Jeopardy had a GOAT tournament, and it took the three best players they had and put them together. And this GOAT tournament, the guy who won the GOAT tournament, his name was Ken Jennings. And when he would write his name Ken inside the box, when in the Jeopardy, when they're playing the game, they write their name. You see, he put the Space Needle as the K. In the Space Needle, because it's the Kraken. His name is Ken, Crack Ken, and he made the Space Needle out of the K in his name. And why did he do that? Because he lives in Seattle. He lived. I'm not sure if he lives there now, but he was living there at the time when he won. And so the GOAT lives in Seattle, and that's what they're trying to tell you. That the GOAT is in Seattle, and it's in jeopardy because Seattle's in jeopardy.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Very, very solid. And this is on the screen. I have a thumbnail of the Seattle Kraken, and the Seattle Kraken has this trailer that first alerted me to this Kraken thing possibly being an EMP blast or something. But their logo has an anchor, and the anchor is actually made out of the Space Needle. And then all kinds of connections, of course, connecting the Space Needle to the Kraken, and they have a 1 minute 13-second trailer, which again is 73 seconds. And so I was going through some of my old notes, and there was a movie I watched called How It Ends, which has the Space Needle being destroyed. And this movie came out on 7/13, And this is the date of those twin blackouts, the one in 2019 and the one in 1977, the ones that were 42 years apart to the day at 42nd Street. These twin blackouts both happened on 7/13. This movie comes out on 7/13, and I looked into it, and that happens to be 113 days from 11/3, which is again one of the main dates that's been associated with the Kraken in terms of how it's been used in the political context. So a lot of 113 predictive programming pointing at Seattle, and I don't think that means the date. I don't think it meant November the 3rd. I think that was a reference to, I mean, a lot of these things are not 100% specific on dates, but anyway, it's just another
Yeah.
example. Seattle's been destroyed in our minds many, many times.
Yeah, and already the mock ritual has already happened, because remember, Elvis died at the age of 42, and Washington is the 42nd state. And when he died, the year Elvis died in 1977, that same year, a horse won the Triple Crown, the most coveted race in horse racing, and he won it on June 11th that year. And the year Elvis died. And what was the horse's name? Seattle Slew. It means to kill. Okay? So it already happened because Elvis was 42. So the ritual, the mock ritual, has already happened for the 42 death of Seattle. Now is the moment for it.
Fascinating, fascinating. And this number 42 thing ties into so many instances that connect to the idea of blackouts. Like last year, you had a volcano erupt on its 42nd anniversary, and the subtext of these stories tells you that these are usually engineered events or manufactured. But these numbers tell a separate story, and the story you've picked up on is pretty clear so far. That this destruction in Seattle, and it's really, I would say, underscored by a lot of this. So the number 42, Washington, and last time we spoke, you talked about this, how Washington has a certain look to it, the shape of the state itself.
Right.
You want to talk about that for a moment? I actually have cropped it.
Remember earlier, I was mentioning that Elvis, he's going to end up being somehow the mark of the beast, because he is the image of the Antichrist. And in the Bible, it says that when they take the mark, it's going to be either his image, or his name, or the number of his name. So there's many ways that this could come about. And Washington, I mean the state of Washington on the map, there's this head that sticks out the side, right, toward the ocean. It looks exactly like Elvis's head. If you look at the swoop in his hair, if you look at the side profile of Elvis when he was younger, all his hair would look exactly like what the Washington that's sticking out the head out of Washington State. So if that gets taken out, imagine that on everybody's T-shirt, Seattle Strong or whatever, Washington Strong, number 42 everywhere, and the image of Elvis on everybody's, shirt and everywhere across America, and that's what that is. You're seeing that, and it's not a coincidence that if you go to the other side of the United States, you have Florida, and Florida looks like Trump's head. And he's going to get a head wound, but he's going to get his head wound in Ohio, not Florida.
Okay, this is interesting. The Seattle fault zone seismic scenario has this map, and it says shaking intensity for Washington. And so what I did was I cropped out the Elvis-like shape, and I marked where this, and the fault line is right on the side of the head. And this got me thinking about your prediction regarding Trump, who ties into this because, of course, as you've described, he serves the role, or he plays the role of, well, Elvis's twin. If you want to explain that for people, I had someone in chat ask me, is it possible that Donald Trump literally played the role of Elvis at some point?
No. Elvis is not Trump. Elvis's identical twin either died at birth, or he was killed at birth, or for some kind of sacrifice, or that maybe he's alive, but it's definitely not. But definitely Elvis and Trump are not the same person. That's for sure. But look, in the realm of possibility, yeah, it's a possibility that Trump somehow related to Elvis, but most likely he's not, because I believe that after the identical twin died at birth, Elvis's identical twin, Vernon Presley, Elvis's dad, went looking for his replacement, and I could go into all the numbers and make a perfect, explain to you why Trump is the perfect candidate. But anyway, so we were talking about the head wound. Like I said, you have to watch my videos for me to explain the numbers that make Trump the identical twin replacement.
Sure.
But so yeah, you did a great job right here with that. I'm looking at the image of the head, the Washington head.
I had no idea there was a fault line right there. And I guess we could probably get into this topic for people who want to know this Trump thing, because Trump is playing a role, and it's undeniable that the significance of twins plays a huge role in this. Trump is in fact a Gemini, and his birthday is next week.
Have you put up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to put up Florida, so you can kind of point out if you want
No,
to.
I was going to tell you put Trump. No, I wanted you to put Trump's head. I mean, the Florida, a map of Florida, and put Trump's side profile. You don't have to do that. You could just put Florida up there. People would be able to still see it, I think. Especially if you made it gold, the color. I don't know if I don't want to.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, everybody knows Trump has, I wouldn't call it a mullet, but Trump's profile, his hair has this very distinctive kind of a flat top that goes out, and then he does have sort of a mud flap in the back. And from the side profile, it does look like, if you were to crop out, yeah, I see Florida on the side of Trump's head.
Yeah, and it looks like a gun. So because he's going to get a head wound.
Yeah,
So
this is interesting. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the chat? Wow.
So not only are you getting a head wound, I mean, not only are you getting Trump's head, you're getting a pistol. I mean, a gun too. Oh man, it's just
Okay,
incredible.
let me bring this
man.
up.
You can't make this stuff up, man.
You can't. And I've caught some of your videos. Once you were talking about how when Trump was first running, there was a supposed assassination attempt. Somebody ran up to him. He was in an airplane hangar in a big crowd, and maybe they got close to grabbing his ankle. But the guy who ran after him was then interviewed on CNN. And I forget his name, but it was in Brandon County, Florida. And you were suggesting this Let's Go Brandon. And this guy from Brandon, what we're looking at here is a buildup. There is a buildup towards this brand Dawn, that Dawn's been this kind of a target. And it figures in all kinds of stories, like Heather McDonald falls and hits her head, her birthday, 6/14. The guy who dresses as Trump, Alec Baldwin, shoots somebody with Donald Trump's 6/14 birthday. There's a lot there. There's a lot there that Trump is in some way going to be targeted, right?
Yeah, I've shown many connections to the Trump head wound, and on August 4th, it's all about the August 4th and the Trump head wound. But I don't want to confuse people, so I just want to make sure that the Seattle event is June 11th
Yes.
That's also going to get a head wound, Seattle, Washington, which connects to Elvis. But anyway, what I was going to tell you, I know you mentioned Pentagram earlier. Did you know that the Seattle Space Needle was funded by a group called the Pentagram Group?
Right, that's right. And that's like, okay, like with Pentagram, it's another solid connection, and it's the Pentagram Group. And of course, they put $100 million into the Space Needle on its 57th year as a renovation. And I'm like, what are they doing? Planting the thermite? What are they doing? They're doing something.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. You're right. That's what they did. They definitely did something below ground too. There's something going on, man. And they had a restaurant there called the Eye of the Needle, because I told you that Elvis is the camel that shoots through the eye of the needle too. It's all connected, this stuff, and that's why they had Kamala come out into the charade, because her name has the camel in it. You get what I'm saying? And you remember Joe Camel, the cigarettes?
Yes.
Yeah. See, it's all rigged, man. This whole thing is a ritual for Elvis.
No, you're on
and Trump.
I was like looking really deeply into the space program as hoaxes, and when Musk sent the David Bowie character in the Tesla Roadster, all interesting because Bowie played Nikola Tesla, but you have the Falcon rocket, which is a space needle. It sends the Starman. with, of course, Bowie, Elvis's birthday, Black Star, all these connections into space. So Elvis has gone to space with the Space Needle ritualistically. They've already kind of like reenacted it or pre-enacted it with this Bowie thing.
Hmm.
And so I think there's something to it. And I think this does tie into the 1973 Elvis concert that was beamed from space as well. And 73 is the year, so another reference to L. And
You want to real quick look up what day that he did that concert? You want to look it up?
yes,
Because
the
I
Aloha.
talked about it years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want you to look up the date. What does it say?
Okay, let's see here. The significance of the Aloha was January 14th, 1973.
You know what happened on that day too?
Remind me, no.
The Super Bowl. Check the Super Bowl real quick.
Okay,
It
okay.
was the seventh Super Bowl.
January 14th, 1973. Same day as the
Okay.
yeah, same day as the Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
So you have the 73 connection because the 73 is the EL, right?
Right.
And you want to hear some great? You know who won that? You know who was playing in that Super Bowl? Washington and Miami.
Yes, I see that here. Washington and Miami.
You're not going to believe this. You know what my name is, right? It's Garo, Garo.
Right.
In that Super Bowl, when I was a kid, that's why I remember it so much. You know it was the biggest blooper ever in the history of a Super Bowl. Put Garo's Gaff, Gaffe, Garo's Gaff.
Okay, I'm putting up Garo's gaff, and what do we have here? Okay, here we go. Garo's Super Bowl blunder number 10 in the countdown. What happens in his gaff? It says here, he whiffed and the football slipped out of his hand and popped straight up into the air. Okay, so what did he actually do here? It looks like it was
He's a kicker, so the kick didn't go right, and he picked up the ball trying to throw it, and it just slipped right off his hand, and it just went straight up in the air, and it was known as the biggest blunder ever. But luckily he won. If he didn't win, if the team didn't win, Miami, he would have been known as the biggest loser ever. And the guy's name is Garo, man. Can you believe that? And happened the day Elvis went satellite.
That's
Whatever
funny.
the hell.
Yeah, I see that. Worst play ever. Worst play ever. Yeah, and so I heard you say in your last stream, Jesus saves, Garo warns, and you were explaining a bit of your background. You mentioned a bombing in Beirut, and do you want to talk about that for a minute for people who are new to your channel or who don't know very much about?
Yeah. So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, and I came here when I was a young child, and I'm Armenian. Armenians were the first Christians as a nation, and it just so happens, because I've been telling everybody this June 11th, August 4th prediction. June 11th, Seattle, August 4th, Trump heaven for there's going to be the fifth year now. I've never changed my predictions, never changed the dates, okay? Because I know it's going to happen. I was telling everyone that 2022 is the most likely year. I just wasn't 100%, but until I realized how all the numbers match. But anyway, so on August 4th, 2020, the year Elvis was still 42 years old that year, they had the Beirut explosion that took out, 200 people died, I think. I don't remember now, but I'm from Beirut, Lebanon. I was born there. So that's another connection, and it happened on August 4th,
Yeah, these dates are what really tell this incredible story, and this is another thing too. I was looking at this whole Pluto returns thing. I don't care about astrology, but I just recognize these stories that are unfolding, and the story is about the return of Hades from the underworld. And so there's all these connections between Hades and Pluto, and Hades releases the Kraken. So this 222 2022 event puts Pluto where it was July 4th, 1776. So I've been looking at this as, okay, this is some kind of significant thing, maybe between here and July 4th, but this is very portentous from the perspective of whoever's behind the big story here. So I've been looking at this Kraken thing, and my guess is the Kraken's going to be released, whatever that happens to be, and everything about it definitely suggests the sea. And then you mentioned the Dr. Evil Seattle Needle connection, which to me connects into Bezos, and that pretty much nails it. Because Bezos launched at 9:11 a.m. He's in a show about 9/11 conspiracy theories, and he gets killed by a kraken.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. I see. I don't know nothing about astrology, or I would put my 2 cents in it. But that's it's incredible whatever you're saying, but I just don't really fully understand it. The how the Kraken is part of Pluto. I don't get that, but I'm sure if you're explaining it in your videos, I'm sure. But I
Yeah,
don't.
it's in their story. So in like I look at the myths, like for example, when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, there's a couple of different ways you could take it, the literal, and then you have the ritual connotations of Vulcan, the husband of Venus, slapping Zeus or something on Mount Olympus, getting kicked out. You have the Babylonian king slapping ritual, which you can find articles on. You can find that many of these events are staged on other things. So when I saw this Kraken thing emerging, I was trying to decode what this thing was, and then I realized, okay, well, Pluto is just another name for Hades, and Hades is the one who opens the gate in the water and lets the Kraken out. So there's this Kraken Watergate connection that was also made in the Stranger Things TV show recently. But yeah, I'm just drawing it from the mythology of it. So I've been thinking, if anything, the significance is that Pluto only returns every like 248 years, I think. So it's a
Yeah,
rare occurrence.
it's this is so incredible. I was all ready to go, and then I looked at some of the chat, and I can't remember anything I was going to say. But let me just, maybe it'll come back to me. But I know earlier, just a little while ago, you mentioned the Space Needle thing again. I mean, the Austin Powers. The guy who's playing Elvis in the movie that's coming out on June 24th, and June 24th on the old calendar is June 11th on the Julian calendar, which we used to be on before the calendar we're on now. So it's coming out June 24th, the Elvis movie, and it's June 11th on the old Julian calendar. And the guy who's playing Elvis is a guy named Austin Butler, and his name in gematria, it doesn't. I'm just throwing it out there. Most people won't even understand it, but it equals 162 forward, 162 backwards, and the 162nd day of the year is June 11th. His full name, Austin Butler, I'm saying. But that's why he was chosen, just because of his stupid name, and he got the Austin connection because of the Austin Powers, Dr. Evil character.
Right, right. Austin, I see that too. And yeah, 6/24. So this movie's just about to come out. Trump's birthday is on the 14th. And the next major thing, though, is 6/11. And again, in the news right now, which I follow closely, the DHS and all the news media on the left is preparing everybody for some right-wing violence, right-wing attacks. And it's about the gun issue. So here we have March for Our Elvis, March for Our Lives, and it's the gun march all across the country, even in Seattle. And you have the media instigators like David Hogg and company. But they all started with the Parkland event, which these are all, as you know, everybody knows what these events are. But they're setting the stage. And interestingly, after Parkland, they called it a children's crusade. They really started this movement of getting the children marching.
Uh-huh.
So everyone's being lined up for whatever this big revelation may be. Now, do you have any words for people who are in Seattle who are hearing? Do you know anybody who's out there? I heard one person, but
Yeah. All I can tell them is I don't understand if you have any, if you believe even 1% of what I'm saying, what do you have to lose by getting out? What is, like, let's say it costs you, like, let's say if you left Seattle for a couple of days or whatever, between around June 11th, what's it going to cost you? $500 at the most, couple hundred. What is it going to cost you? What is your life worth? I don't even understand the logic, and money's going to mean nothing anyway, because they're about to destroy, the economy. These idiots, So your money is going to be meaningless. They have to have a reset in order to get people to take the mark.
okay. A commenter asks if Elvis had anything to do with guns. Elvis gave a Colt 45 when he was 37 years old. No, to the 37th president, excuse me, to Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
He gave Richard Nixon a Colt 45, which is a very fascinating connection to Trump as well, who was president number 45. And there's a few other links there, but that's one thing that really stood out to me. Now, this was sent to me earlier today. 3 Seattle beaches are closed for the whole summer because they have a shortage of lifeguards. At least that's what they're saying.
Well, yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, and then there were 1,800 Amazon employees that were relocated out of Seattle because they said it was a quote crime wave. I heard the word, I saw the word wave, and I thought maybe there's another reason why they're clearing the set. And one other point here, I was looking into the Space Needle. The chief architect, John Graham Jr., he said, it says here, he wanted the top to look like a UFO. It was designed to look like a UFO and tractor beam. So this is all intentional. It's intentional that the tractor beam beams you up in 42 seconds. This is a very occultic encoded piece of architecture.
Yeah, and UFO has significance also, the letters, because U is the 21st letter and F is the 6th letter. So you have the 216. The 216th day of the year is August 4th. The 162nd day of the year is June 11th. It has the same numbers. And you have the crown. The O is a crown.
These are great connections here. For anyone who missed these, if you just
wait,
you got to write these
there's
down.
one more thing.
Yeah, go on.
One
please.
more thing. UFO equals 42. The letters.
I see that now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Okay.
see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's 42 meters wide. This thing. So fascinating. And of course, the tractor beam is part of the architecture, and it ties into the idea of the Space Needle that takes you to space. It elevates you. And we get into the coding here. L also refers to lights falling from the sky. The Elohim. It's a lot of name is so significant, and of course, as you've described. So there's quite a lot here. All of it to me has to do with some kind of savior. It's all about the savior, and it's really been given away in these other movies that we've discussed. This.
Yeah. Like I said, Trump benefits from Elvis's worship. See, Elvis is the one that's going to be worshipped, but Trump benefits from it. And because he looks kind of like Elvis in a, in a weird way, right? But he's like, a side profile of Elvis, a fat Elvis. But anyway, the earlier you mentioned the Will Smith. The reason that Will Smith was chosen to do this, okay, this charade, is because he's got the initials. Because remember who he won the award for. He won the award that day at the Oscars, whatever the hell it was, the award show. It was for the King movie. It was for a King movie. He won the award. And it was for Serena Williams' father. And Serena Williams has the initials SW for Seattle, Washington. And SW equals 42. Okay? So Will Smith has the same initials, but backwards. WS, it equals 42. And it's about a king, the movie that it was about her dad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And king is always associated too in many of these different symbolic things with the number 33 and king. I find these symbol groups to tell a story. Really quick to Trump though. Trump used to brag that when he was young, he looked like Elvis, and that Elvis was a natural blonde, was he not?
I'm sorry. I didn't get the last part.
Was Elvis a blonde naturally? Didn't he dye his hair black?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He dyed his hair black.
Yeah, so, and Trump is an interesting character. I was looking at some predictive programming for Trump. Like, we've been prepared for the emergence of this character. I found this 1958 movie called Trackdown, which is obviously a reference to a guy named Trump who builds a wall or a barrier to protect people from a cosmic threat. So he comes along as this savior. And this is not a new story, this Trackdown character. It came out in 1958. And I was going through this website today that was just showing all these interesting connections between Donald Trump and the number 58 and many other things. Like
wait, the number what?
50,
the number what?
The number 58.
Oh, okay, 58. Yeah. Okay.
So, for example, Trump Tower, 58 stories. Mar-a-Lago, 58 rooms. Married Melania, 58. 58th presidential election is the one that he won. Then you have, it was 58 years from 1958 where he appears in the media for the first time in this context when he got elected. Back to the Future, he bets on the horse races as Biff Tannen in 1958. Anyway, I can go on, but there's quite a lot. So if anybody,
well, the word father. Go ahead.
Well, anybody who thinks that Trump is a real savior, or if he's not totally in on the game, he's completely encoded on all these levels.
Yeah, well, that's why. Okay, first of all, let me just say that father equals 58. That's why it's so important, the 58. Anyway, so, uh, uh, man, I can't. Again, I went blank.
Well, the 50, I
Done.
was rattling off all the 58s that were kind of like we're getting ready. They were preparing us for a Trump in various movies and stuff, and I was just like, wow, he's
Oh,
constantly associated with this number.
real quick, while I'm remembering. Yeah, that's why Trump looked to the sky and said he's the chosen one. He's the reason he's saying that is because he was chosen. He was chosen by the minions of Satan to play this part. He was chosen from birth because he was born under a blood moon. His birthday, the day he was born, 6/14/1946, it was a blood moon eclipse. Okay, and June 14th is also Flag Day, and it's also World Blood Donor Day. Not just America, World Blood Donor Day, his birthday.
See, that's fascinating. Okay, now that's fascinating. World Blood Donor Day, because one of the things I noticed with all of the fake events is that it's fake tears, real blood. Meaning nobody dies or cries, but they get a bunch of blood donations. And I'm like, look at these parasites coming in and sucking the blood out of all the fools who think that they actually
Yeah,
need the stuff. So,
yeah.
World Blood Day.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect what you just said. That's exactly what they do. They ask every time for blood.
Sick. Sick. And yeah, Trump did look up to the sky and he said he's the chosen one. I don't know if that was that during an eclipse. I mean, I know he stared at the sun for a second there and said, I'm the chosen one.
Well, that's
Fascinating.
interesting you said that. No, I don't think it was an eclipse, but you're right. He looked up in the sun. He was squinting. Yeah.
Yeah, I am the chosen one. Um, yeah, okay, you mentioned the O being the crown, and the Donnie Darko movie has a ton of Donald Trump predictive programming worth looking into for people who haven't seen it. I mean, this is all stuff that
Yep.
people can look into at their leisure. But one of the main points is in the 1958 episode that has this Trump character. The episode was called "End of the World." Everything about Donnie Darko is about the end of the world. So Trump has been associated with this end of the world thing. And for people who don't know, the new Twin Towers were going to be called the Twin Towers 2 or the World Trade Center Phoenix that Donald Trump was going to sponsor. They went with this other thing. But my point being, the end of the world has always been associated with Trump, and he's always been associated with this Twin Tower thing. So the Twins thing is there.
Here's a great, yeah, that Phoenix thing would have been great if they had done it. But check this out before I forget it, because like I said, I have so much on my mind, I'm going to forget if I don't say it. So just to get off the Seattle thing for 1 second, let's go to Trump's head wound, which is going to happen on August 4th. Here's an incredible connection. Okay. So Serena Williams, remember that creature, the creature, uh, uh, the tennis player. Remember, it's a tennis player, and Elvis was died in Tennessee. Okay, so Serena Williams with the initials SW, which equals 42, during a Wimbledon event. So it's got the EL and the Don in that name, and Donald, you know what I mean, in the EL. So during a Wimbledon thing, this creature won I guess won the game, and they were going to give the creature an award. They were flying the flags, right? And during the national anthem, the American flag falls, okay? And I told you that Trump's born on Flag Day. So the flag falls, and guess what day it was? August 4th.
Wow,
Do you see
that's
what I'm saying?
yes. Okay, that's the exact type of scripted events that would yeah, you're onto this. That's rather undeniable. And again, there's so much deception in the world, and the people who are most lost, I think, are the ones who are worshiping Trump as a savior. And I hear them chanting, "The beast is yet to come," and they think that it's J. In fact, this is weird. The main leader of the JFK cult right now, the cult that thinks JFK is coming back, this Q
Uh-huh.
group, they're in Dallas. Their main leader said that JFK is going to be back on 6/11. So on that date, amidst everything else, that's going on as well.
Wow, they said 6/11. Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, he came up with that prediction yesterday and put it out there. So there's going to be a lot of crazies in Dallas waiting for John F. Kennedy to show up.
Yeah, and What was I going to mention? Yeah, and August 4th is the backwards date of JFK's birthday. 5/29 is the 149th day of the year, which leaves 216 days in the year. And August 4th is the 216th day of the year. So Trump's going to get his head wound on the backwards date of JFK's birthday.
See, okay, that's fascinating there. So for people who are, yeah, John Hinckley's birthday is also the same as JFK's birthday. So he's a presidential shooter, and it's JFK's birthday, and it has this direct association to 8/4.
Yeah, and he shot Reagan, and Reagan was shot on 3/30, which is a 33 with a crown, 3/30, 1981, and he got shot in the side, and he survived, Reagan. And Ronald Reagan has the same initials, just like Gabby Giffords, who got shot in the head. She had the same initials, just like Steve Scalise, who had the same initials, who got shot and survived. And I'll connect it in a minute to each other. But so Ronald Reagan, who had the same initials, gets shot. He survives. But during that shooting, when John Hinckley, who was born on JFK's birthday, shoots Ronald Reagan, he also shot somebody else named James Brady. James Brady was shot in the head, and he survived. And he lived another 33 years, and he died on August 4th. You see?
Yeah, heavy head wound, 33. Yeah, these are strong connections here. And
Wait, real quick, let me
go on.
before I forget. I'm sorry, man. I got to do this because it's so important. I hate interrupting you, man. I really do. But I will forget. I'm sorry. But so, look, I already forgot. This is unbelievable.
Well, maybe this will remind you because you brought up Gifford and the head wound, and the key you brought up
Oh,
here,
yeah. That's
the surviving
it.
the head wound.
That's it. Gabby Giffords was shot in the head and survived. And the other one was Steve Scalise. I told you they all had the same initials. Steve Scalise was shot on Trump's birthday, 6/14. And Gabby Giffords, who was shot in the head, who has the same initials, was shot on Elvis's birthday.
Wow. Okay, that's heavy. I didn't catch that one either. And hey, I seem to remember. Okay, well, one, when Alec Baldwin shot that woman, he also shot the director, Joel Souza, and he got shot. He had Trump's birthday, and he survived. So there's another repetition of this theme of surviving a shooting, and that was a 44. There's a 44 that Alec Baldwin used to shoot Joel Souza, who had the birthday of 6/14. Again, Trump's birthday. That's
I did videos about those things, about those shootings, about the head, everything with a head wound. I'm telling you, 99.9%, I probably did it, but a lot of those videos got taken down by YouTube, But anyway.
Well, the head wound thing is super significant. Even the name Kennedy in Gaelic just means cane to head or head wound or ugly head wound. There's a head wound connotation built into the name Kennedy. So this is a ritual. This is why you have like Rodney King. These numbers. You mentioned the 33 years he survived after his head wound. Rodney King was beaten for 1 minute 19 seconds and hit 33 times. So you have King, 33, and then you have a reverse 9/11 built into it, encoded into this thing. But very consistent here, the common theme of surviving a head wound. And then you're the one that pointed out Heather McDonald, Mick, kind of the Scottish thing, Donald, hitting her head
and the Donald. Mm-hmm.
and surviving.
Yep, she was born on 6/14, and she had the Donald in her name, and she got a head wound. It's like I said, it's completely everything you're seeing is a real life rituals that they're doing. Okay, of course, most of it's not happening, but they're real life rituals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, they are. And then of course, you've been talking about Elvis and the Crown and Levi's and this. So this is what we're looking at in many ways. Is
hold on, what did you say? Because you keep breaking up, man.
Okay,
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, so again, the King thing with Elvis. This is where the Levi's and the King thing. So these are just repetitive rituals that are all building up towards some big reveal, it looks like, or some type of thing. And this is why I think, wait, wasn't it last year or was it 2 years ago? Wasn't there like a union leader with the name Trump who actually died on a 6/11 or something?
No. Like I said, I've been predicting this for the last 5 years, and on August 4th, I've never changed the dates. It's always been the same dates because I know it's going to happen. So August 4th, Trump gets his head wound. On August, listen to this. after midnight, after August 4th passed, it's midnight now. The news comes on at around 4 in the morning saying, oh, or 5 in the morning it was, because I was awake. 5 in the morning, they said, oh, a union president has died. And I was like, okay, so what, right? But right away my brain said, okay, I see president and I see it's right after August 4th, right? But he died during his sleep. So that means he could have died on August 4th, because I read in a place that they said August 4th, some places say August 5th in the early morning. So what was the guy's name? President Trumpka. So they added a K-A to his name
Yes.
instead of the P.
Yes, it was the head of the AFL-CIO. So and I remember at the time, I'm like, okay, so we're looking, President Trump, some kind of thing, and this guy, President Trumpka, it's reported. I'm like, that's just too weird to be true, but it was exactly what happened. And I mean, this is not a coincidence. I mean, I remember when I first started looking at the Seattle thing, November the 3rd, 2019, we were looking very closely on that day, and you can't predict these things 100%, but there's a pattern there. And sure enough, there was a big Space Needle in Turkey that burned on 11/3/2019.
Yeah, I saw that day, yeah. But see, all that was just a ritual. You know what I mean? It probably connected to Elvis too. I just, didn't look at the numbers on that. But what I'm trying to say is I knew it was not going to happen that day, okay? Because I'll give you 2 reasons why I knew it was. First of all, because I know that the Holy Spirit led me to this. There's no way you go get around this. This is impossible, supernatural connections that I could have never found myself. This is from the Holy Spirit, because I was obsessed with Elvis, and that's what this is all about. Anyway, when all the truthers were talking about this 11/3, because I was talking about this before that, way before, and I was talking about Elvis in Seattle before this 11/3 thing came up, and everybody's like talking about 11/3/3/11. I was like, well, I go, how come they're not talking about my videos? My videos are not about cartoons. 99% of everything I show is real life rituals, and this guy was showing cartoons. This guy who came out of nowhere, he was doing cooking videos, man, and out of nowhere he starts doing Seattle videos, and it goes viral. And every big truther name was going with it. But yet, they wouldn't even show my videos. I mean, I was like, what? I mean, this tells you something's not right about the truth community, man. I mean, when you do stuff like that.
Good
But anyway.
point. Good point. I'm glad you brought this up, because that was heavily pushed. Even High Impact Flicks was selling Seattle PSYOP coming up 11/3, and he had the Century Stadium, he had a football and a Space Needle. So I'm like, wow, this is being really heavily pushed all of a sudden by some anonymous guy with an authoritative accent. And he did connect all these cartoons and movies to Seattle 113. But I think it was misdirection, if anything, because it did pile on, it did show predictive programming. But
Absolutely, I agree. I
the
do agree that it was showing.
Yeah, I don't know what the conclusions were, and
I just want to know, how did he all of a sudden come out of nowhere? You know what I'm saying? It's just weird to me. The guy's doing cooking videos, and all of a sudden he does Seattle Truth videos. Where the hell did he come from? And see, I believe that I don't know. I'm thinking somebody put this guy up to it, because it just doesn't make any sense. And it got around to the whole truth community. It's like the boy who cries wolf, because now nobody's paying attention.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because then they build it up, they let it down, it led to nothing, and then people are like, well, maybe we were just drawing conclusions, or it didn't give them any real context, and it came and went, and that body of research just kind of floundered there. Meanwhile, like as you said, no one has been paying attention to these real-time connections you've been making that are deeper than corporate media cartoons, but actually go into things that are, as you've been pointing out, birth dates, characters, world stage characters that go back decades and decades.
This is like 9/11. What you're seeing right now is predictive programming, just like 9/11. And 9/11 was no cartoon. Okay, I'm not talking about the body count. That I don't believe, and I don't believe there was any planes either. But I'm talking about the actual ritual. The buildings did come down. Okay, you can't argue that, right? And check this out for the people, now that it's on my mind. Do you know that the first time the towers were attacked, guess who was the president? The 42nd president, Bill Clinton. That was the first time the towers were attacked. And guess how many months if you go from August 16th, the day Elvis died, you go forward to 226. Man, I have to do it on my calculator. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
Well, I want to recommend your channel to people too and subscribe because you show this stuff on your screen, and these relationships are your receipts, and it shows that yeah, we're dealing with you use the word prophecy. I use the word light. I don't know how to use that word necessarily here, but you're looking at a pattern that's undeniable, and it's so encoded that one person couldn't be behind all of this. It's like predictive programming in general. And again, Seattle's been targeted longer than 9/11 with a lot of this imagery suggesting it's going to take a fall.
Absolutely. And here, it was 15 years, 6 months, 11 days from the day Elvis died to the day the towers first was attacked. The first time when it didn't fall. It was 15 years, 6 months, 11 days. You have the 6/11, which, because I told you that's the date that it's going to get struck. So that's the first connection you see. And I mean, Seattle's going to get struck. And also 15 years and 6 months, the 156, the word, if you wrote down the words 33 into the gematria calculator, it would equal 156. And also, and from Elvis's birthday to the day the actual Twin Towers did fall, it was 66 years and 8 months, 4 days. And the 66 equals the word twin. Elvis was an identical twin, and you have the 8-4 connection because it was 8 months, 4 days. 8-4 is the day Trump gets his head wound.
Fascinating. Yeah, these connections are deep. I'm going to dig deeper into this Space Odyssey 2001 music associated with Elvis. That's huge. All of the stuff is really cohesive, but here we are getting close to 6/11, and I don't know what's going to happen 100%, but I just know that there's a buildup. There's a lot of energy, March for Our Lives, and it's the most divisive issue of our time, which is in America, anyways, the gun thing for the most part. You know, and
Right.
so it's replaced the vax schism, and so now you're having two sides. Meanwhile, the shootings are happening, and they're ramping up the anti-gun narrative. So it's already kind of a powder keg. So whatever they're doing, I often think that they kind of they predict things in advance to kind of guide the public. It is truly programming. So we're being programmed for something, and everyone's gonna be marching in the streets like idiots on Saturday when whatever happens happens.
Let me backtrack one time. Remember when I was telling you that the GOAT tournament, the Jeopardy GOAT tournament was won by a crack can? And by the way, Kennedy has the can in it also, crack can. But anyway, the guy who won the Jeopardy GOAT tournament was Crack Can Jennings, right? And he lived in Seattle when he won the Jeopardy GOAT tournament. He was the GOAT, and the GOAT is in Seattle, the greatest of all time, which is Elvis. Elvis is, the king. Seattle's in King County now. And they were telling you that that Seattle is in jeopardy. That's what the whole GOAT tournament was about, because they wanted you to know that Seattle's in jeopardy, and that's why the guy who won, was living in Seattle. Anyway, the GOAT tournament started one day before, or one day. Oh yeah, it started one day before Elvis's birthday. It was on 1/7 they had to start it, because that was a Monday. They wanted to start it on 1/8, but they had to start it on a Monday, so that's why they did that. But it started one day before, and the last episode of Jeopardy was, well, before I go into that, the guy who hosted the show, his name is Alex Trebek. His real name is George, and guess what happened to him? He died. Soon as that GOAT tournament was over, he died. Okay? Because they're trying to tell you it's all about death and destruction. And when was Alex Trebek born? He was born on 7/22. 7/22 is the backwards birthday of 6/11. 7/22 is the 203rd day of the year, which leaves 162 days. The 162nd day of the year is June 11th. Do you get it?
Yeah, and so Seattle in jeopardy is interesting there. Like, there's a lot of hints, sleepless in Seattle, things suggesting it, but um, yeah, this is very consistent, I would say. Seattle in jeopardy. Alex Trebek did just die, and there was something you've been bringing up. It had to do with a code of I think the word attack or ATT
Oh, the
encode.
ATT, right?
Yeah, do you want to explain that for people here because this connects 9/11 in Seattle to an upcoming
Right. The,
9/11 event.
what got me started before I knew any dates even. I told you the dates came supernaturally, but from the Holy Spirit. I was trying to find where is going to be the next 9/11. I couldn't, I didn't, I had a premonition back in 2009, 2010 that had to do with the Space Needle, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, oh, that was weird. I looked up what the Space Needle was, and I didn't think anything of it. I saw that people were talking that there might be something happening, like an earthquake or something. But anyway, so I didn't think anything of it. So years went by, and then, like a few years, then I started doing videos on YouTube, and I I, I realized, and what's funny is the reason that I even caught the ATT code is because the first hijacker from the 9/11, uh, he's the one that drove the first plane into the supposed planes. The pilot was the name Mohammed Atta, and I had never seen a name like that, where it's the first two letters are the exact same as the last two letters, ATTA, Atta. So I was like, wow, what a weird name. And he was so evil looking, right? So that's why I couldn't forget that face and the name, right? So then I realized that they were calling it 9/11 attacks. Attacks has the ATA, ATTA, and then I realized Manhattan had the ATTA. I was like, what the hell is this, right? And then I realized that the supposed plane that took it into the towers was the American Airlines, which is AA, like in ATA. And what did the planes hit? It hit the TT, which is the Twin Towers. So there's your ATA again. And then I realized Seattle. That's it. It's the ATT, but without the A. It's missing one A. It's got the ATT in Seattle because it's the double cross. But check this out. So I said, where's that missing A? It's the Space Needle. The missing A is the Space Needle. Okay, because it looks like an A if you've seen it. There's even a thing called the Big A in Anaheim. It's this huge A with a halo on it because it's got a crown on it. And the Space Needle, it equals the word fallen angel in gematria. Space Needle,
Okay.
exact same numbers.
Yeah, fallen angel, and of course this is all very, angel, messengers of light, L is encoded into that. And the auto thing you mentioned. Now this might tie in too. If you take 9/11, take the Roman numerals XI, I'm sorry, I
Uh-huh.
mean IX and then XI. Well, the X's in the middle are like a couple of crosses, and then you have the ones, which could be like A's because it's the first. So
Uh-huh.
IXXI is encoded into 9/11 if you take the Roman numerals. And I'd seen some memes where this has been put together where the two X's could. I've seen someone make it into a Masonic symbol and two pillars, but yes, down to the letter, these things
And
are encoded.
uh, and the Big A is very important because did you know the reason I brought up the Big A in Anaheim? Because like I said, it looks like the Seattle Space Needle in a way, and it has a halo on top. Do you know that they had a pitcher who died, a baseball pitcher? Do you remember him? His name is Skaggs, and he died. You know what number he was wearing? 45 for Trump, and he was a pitcher, and the pitcher is the number one slot.
Yep, yep.
Uh, So yeah, and they did a whole ceremony, like a whole ritual. They put the 45 around the mound. Everybody wore the number 45, and they were calling him a fallen angel. Do you get it? They were calling him a fallen angel, and I told you, Space Needle equals fallen angel. You know, and
Okay.
and
Uh, uh,
and Trump
got,
is a 45.
got your back bear says AT&T
Go ahead.
building was hit by. Okay, AT&T building was bombed
Christmas
on
Day.
Christmas
Hmm.
in Nashville.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me bring
Yep,
this up
Tennessee,
then.
where Elvis.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Tennessee, where Elvis was. He was born there, right?
Where he
I
died.
mean, where he
Well, no, he
died.
died in Tennessee. Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, so a 9/11, and then of course inverted. If you flipped it over just directly, you can kind of see the 11 6 or 611s. Like there's all kinds of inversions. They kind of use a lot of anagrams too, which is huge, and that's why March for Our Lives is big for this weekend. Um, Now, Black Lives Matter was chanting, and this is kind of a side note, I can't breathe. And I can't breathe is an anagram for a better China. And it ties in to the idea of police oppression, but also the environment being destroyed. This I can't breathe, the air being taken out. It was a big theme in 2020. I'm just pointing out there's all kinds of anagrams being used in these big stories, and it's witchcraft or something, is how I look at it. So, yeah, these codes that you're finding definitely kind of points that there's an attack being point. And Seattle
Yeah,
used to be
and
called New York.
yeah, exactly. And that Manhattan was in New York, and but Seattle was originally called New York before even New York was New York. But anyway, the in Tennessee, there's an AT&T building, and that building is on 333 Commerce Street. It's 33 floors, and it's got three pillars on one side. It's like got three kind of like, what's it called? It's like tiers. It's three tiers on each side, and it's got two needles on the top. That's what they call it, the Batman building.
Oh,
It's got
that's
two
right.
needles on the top.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
big Batman building. Fascinating. Um, and that's on 333. I remember seeing that. And there's something you brought up before because I've been looking at 611 as very important to the like the inverted version of OBL. You have Osama bin Laden, the outside terrorist, but our domestic terrorist archetype is really Timothy McVeigh, who again died at 33 on 611, and all kinds of ritual stuff about his death. But my main thing is Timothy McVeigh, TM, and you were making some connections here between Elvis and the tomb being empty. Would you mind reiterating that for people who haven't heard it?
Right. So Timothy McVeigh, he dies on six. He got supposedly executed on 6/11, the same year that 9/11 the towers fell, and um, Timothy McVeigh has the initials TM, which equals 33. And what's important about the TM is because Elvis, he was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, which is TM. And then he moved when he was 13 years old to Memphis, Tennessee. And Memphis, Tennessee is the same initials, but backwards, MT. So it's T. He went from TM, which equals 33, Tupelo, Mississippi, moves to Memphis, Tennessee, which is MT, which equals 33. And when Elvis died, they were saying he lives because his tomb is empty. Empty, get it? And by the way, the word tomb equals the word June. Bush equals June. Bush equals tomb. Same thing.
Wow. And then he moved when he was 13, which is a major death and rebirth number. It's a phoenix number. Like the new tower that replaced the twins opened 13 years later. Very significant. And Elvis lives. I mean, I said yesterday, I walked into this, or a couple days ago, I walked into a dollar store after listening to your live stream, and there's two magazines. Elvis Lives On, and the next one is Jackie Robinson, Mr. 42. So, I see these. It's strange to me to have coincidences like this in real life that echo a lot of these things, and just shows me that this is some kind of. I'm not gonna. I don't know what exactly it all means, other than this is an intense form of uh, scripting. I don't know predestination, but I get the feeling that humanity is being steered to something, and it always seems to be the case. Most people are just following the program, and very few actually point it out as you've been doing. And I've had you on here, by the way, for 76 minutes so far. I want to see if is there any topics that we haven't really covered. Um,
Well, I mean, there's so much we haven't covered, but I can't get into it because a lot of it's too complicated. But I want to make sure we understand that Elvis equals water, and it also equals reset. I want to make sure they know that. And you know that if you look into the Illuminati card game, see, I don't really like to get into the cartoon aspects of stuff, but the Illuminati card game came out in 1995 or something like that. And they have two Elvis cards. One of them is the Church of Elvis, like the Church of Satan. It says Church of Elvis has this creature. If you wanted to put it up, it's up to you. But and then the other one, there's this guy pointing, and they're pointing to two doors that say it says exit, and the doors say push on it, push, which is the PP. And I'm not going to get into that, but it has a pair of glasses on like a dome on a trash can, and the trash can looks like it says, it's supposed to say trash, but it looks like it says WASH. It's weird. It looks like it says Washington. And the glasses are on top of the dome part of the trash can, and the word glasses equals Seattle. Exact same numbers as Seattle. And it's emerald green, because, you know, the Emerald City was in Seattle, right?
Yeah, good point. Seattle is the Emerald City. One of the predictive programming things that had a lot of people looking at Seattle was on 3/11/2018, a group called World Order released a song called Let's Start World War III, and it came out on 3/11. And you know, one thing about that video, again, it's called Let's Start World War III by World Order. It's all filmed in Seattle, and it has all kinds of yellow brick road symbolism encoded into it. But aside from being annoying, I think I only listened to it once. I couldn't really handle this song, but there's a scene in it where they have Trump throughout the whole video. In fact, the characters in this video, Let's Start World War III, are all dressed like Trump, and they're making hand signs, you know, the AOK, and they're even kind of imitating him with their lips. So they're looking like Trump clones. But anyway, about 3 minutes into this video, Let's Start World War III, they imitate Trump being shot, and they all play dead in the snow.
Yeah, I've showed that video a few times. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. It's totally about Trump in Seattle. It's it's right there, man. And talking about World War III, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's very, again, this is the predictive programming, and yeah, a lot of the predictive programming is kind of trite. It does come in cartoons, and it makes it very questionable. But at the same time, it seems to me like this is how they get the message to every single mind out there. And it's so, this is why they call it programming. I mean, I'm like amazed that you you have these school shootings and stuff, and you don't see any blood, but then you turn on the TV and you watch the TV shows happen to give you the exact imagery of what happened supposedly in the news. So, you know, the public is bamboozled.
Listen. If you're about to end the chat, what I mean with me, let me tell you something. Just to prove to everybody, I want to make sure that we put this out there. This is not about Seattle. It's to show you that this is no joke. What I'm showing you, this is like what number connections that I'm going to talk about has to do with JFK. It will blow your mind how it connects to all this. So what I'm saying is, if you let me know when you're about to end the video, end our chat, because I want to make sure we put that in there.
Okay, yeah, I had one more point I wanted to bring up. I brought this up before, but since you connected UFO to the number 42, at Trump's 42nd birthday at the Trump's Castle Casino, they had a 15-foot UFO with lasers and smoke. So Trump turns 42 in 88, and they have a big UFO. Just bringing this up because this, again, it connects Trump and Elvis and the Space Needle, UFOs, and this article is from the Washington Post, coincidentally. But again, just bringing that up. But yeah, go ahead and whatever final points you want to make sure that people hear, if this is the last thing they hear from you before the 11th.
Yeah, well, yeah. So just real quick before I get to the connection to JFK, I want to make sure that, you know, here's another incredible connection with Elvis, because I told you Elvis equals water, it's same numbers, just like it equals reset, exact same numbers. Do you know that if you took the letters of Elvis and gave it its opposite letters, this is what I'm saying. So E is the fifth letter of the alphabet, right? So what would be the fifth letter from the end? It would be V. Okay, do you get
Yes.
what I'm trying to
Yes.
say?
So like if you had the alphabet written and mirrored, yes.
Okay, so E is V, L is O, V is E, I is R, S is H. There's only one word you can make with those letters. The letters I gave were V O E R H. Those are the five letters. There's only one word you can make with those letters. It's the word hover. Can you imagine? Because, you know, I told you God hovered over the waters in Genesis 1 when he created, you know, whatever, you know, all the things that he created. So the word hover is Elvis. and Elvis equals water, and that's what God was doing. He was hovering over the water, the Holy Spirit. And in the movie Back to the Future, which connects to Trump, Biff Tannen, it also connects to Elvis because there was a hoverboard in that stupid movie, which I mentioned before many times.
Yes, and UFOs are described as what? They're hovering.
Hover.
They hover.
Yep.
Fascinating,
Exactly.
fascinating. And the
Yep.
whole
Yep.
idea of a
And
UFO as
anyway,
a savior from above is kind of encoded into it and always has been.
and the word board, because it's hoverboard. So basically, it's Elvis. The word Elvis backwards, hover. It's board connects to the Space Needle because board is an anagram for the word broad, and the Space Needle is on 400 Broad Street because in the Bible it tells you that broad is the way that leads to destruction. Did you hear that? It's on Broad Street.
Wow, wow. Okay, broad. That's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Okay, so let me get to because I know your viewers are probably getting sick of this, but so let me show you how there's no such thing as coincidences. Okay, impossible. Wait till you see what I'm going to show you with this JFK thing. So remember, folks, I have nothing to do with JFK in my predictions. My predictions are connected to Elvis and Seattle and Trump getting his head wound in Ohio on August 4th, Elvis, Seattle, June 11th. But all the other people are players in this. Yes, JFK plays a part. MLK plays a part. Whatever, you have a few other people, Obama. But they're just players to these people. I mean, to Trump and Elvis, who are the devil twins. So look at this. So Elvis's identical twin was born 35 minutes before Elvis. That's what they say. So he died the 35 minutes before. Now, let's look at the connections to JFK. Okay, so JFK was born on the 149th day of the year, 529, 149, okay? And that is the 35th prime number. So remember, 35 minutes was when Elvis's twin was born before him, and he died. So the 35th prime number is 149. JFK is born on the 149th day of the year. JFK is the 35th president.
Yeah, that's
Did
right.
you catch
That's
that
right.
so far?
Yep, go on. Yeah, 35th
Okay.
president.
Right. Elvis was born in 35, the year. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, these Elvis JFK links, like for example, JFK was these are all very much connected, but his death was definitely a killing of the king ritual, happened in the 33rd parallel. They scripted it. Um, if anybody's read King Kill 33, but yes, definitely the killing of a king and his name. In fact, Kennedy does imply ugly head or head wound. It's encoded into his very name. And I was kind of looking at it JFK. K is 11, F is 6, J is 10. And you can kind of make out of that
Yeah,
9/11/01
absolutely.
if you flip
Yep,
it.
yep. And Trump, he was born in 46, okay? And by the way, 1946 is the only number besides 1998 that equals 222, and we're in the 222 year. But forget about that. We're connecting it to the JFK thing. So, so Trump was born in 46. JFK was 46 years old when he died, and we're at the 46th president, Biden, and he was born in 42 because the 42 is connected to all this, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
And Trump is the 44th person to become president, but he's the 45th actual president. So, and JFK, he won the 44th perennial election. So there's the 44, and he was killed, right? And the 44 is the kill number. Trump has the 44 connected because he was the 44th person. And MLK was killed on 4/4. He was killed in Martin Luther King was killed on 4/4 in Memphis, Tennessee, where Elvis lived. And he was in Memphis, Tennessee, MT 33, and he was killed 33 years after Elvis was born. Oh man, I got to get this out because I got to end the.
Okay, well, I have a pretty strong 6/11 connection after this too, so.
Okay. Yeah, don't forget what you're going to say. And hold on, there was something very important here. Oh, okay. So now let me real quick connect the deaths of presidents. So remember I told you that the June 11th is the 162nd day of the year, right?
Yes.
162.
Yes.
And Memphis, Tennessee, I mean, where he was born, Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis. Tupelo, I mean, Mississippi is the 20th state. And he moved to Tennessee later when he was 13, and he lived there all his life. That's a 16th state. So it's 1620, 162 with a crown, or 216 with a crown. Okay, it's 2016 or 1620 with a crown. So it's got the exact numbers of the June 11th, which is the 162nd day of the year, or August 4th, the 216th day of the year. Okay, so that's a 16th. So that's the 16th state and the 20th state. Now, who were the first two presidents that were killed? The 16th president and the 20th president.
Okay, I see that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It was Lincoln, and I forget the 20th one. I don't remember now. But the 16th and the 20th. Now, who was the next one? It was the 25th. Because see, now you forget about the 16 and 20. That got taken care of with June 11th and August 16th right there. 1620 or 2016. And now what was left? You had the 25th and the 35th president, which makes, because that was JFK was the 35th, right? So you had the 25th president got killed. 35th president got killed. You had that equals 60. Okay, if you add the 45th president, which would make 105. So 25, 35 plus the 45 would make 105. JFK is 105 years old this year.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's really really fascinating. I mean, these connections are way too deep. I mean, I've seen the connections between JFK and Lincoln, but this is adding on to it on a different level. And yeah,
Go ahead.
well, their
Go ahead.
birth dates are the main key thing. And someone in the chat pointed out that there was a big controversy with Dr. Oz being endorsed by Trump lately. So you have this Trump-Oz connection. And Dr. Oz, of course, born on 6/11, and Oz is the Wizard of Oz is, of course, a reference to Seattle. So you have this Seattle 6/11 being pushed out there.
Yeah,
in that as
so
well.
what I'm saying, I'm sorry, what was the last thing you said?
No, that's it. That's what I'm saying is that, yeah, that's another, it's like they just put him out there just to make that connection.
Yeah, let me get to the Oz thing last, real quick. Let me just tell you, remind me to mention that. So Trump's going to get his head wound in Ohio on August 4th. I mean, in Ohio, most likely in Ohio on August 4th. I'm 100% about the date, but I'm 99% about where, which is Ohio. Ohio's the 17th state, and Elvis died in the 16th state. 16 plus 17 equals 33. The 33 is the number of ascension. It's the highest number in Freemasonry, because I told you it's mocking God, who was crucified at the age of 33 and who rose from the dead at 33, Jesus. And so 16th state, 17th state, and Q equals the 17th letter of the alphabet. Now, from the day JFK was born to the day Elvis was born, there's 17 years in between. From Trump's date of birth, the day he's born, to the day JFK was killed is 17 years. From JFK's birthday to Ronald Reagan being shot is 17 years. Okay? And I told you Ohio's the 17th state where Trump's going to get his head wound. Okay? So that takes care of that. Now, and by the way, during the JFK shooting, there was a cop that was killed. His name was J.D. Tippit. That's the same initials as Donald John Trump.
Yeah, I see that now.
Is that ridiculous?
Yeah, it's I mean, go on, please.
Just no, because I want to end it with the 6/11. With Dr. Oz. So he's being promoted by Trump, Dr. Oz. Besides the Wizard of Oz connection and the Emerald City connection to Seattle, this dude is born on 6/11, so that's another connection to Seattle. But he was born in Ohio, where Trump's going to get his head wound. So he's connected to all of it, So it's like, that's why he's being promoted by Trump,
Yeah, exactly. They put out the Wizard of Oz, and it's incredible. The 17Q connection, didn't catch that before, and the QAnoners believe that JFK is Q, and he's 105, and they believe he's coming back on Saturday, of all things. Saturday.
Yeah, Yeah, they're absolutely ridiculous, these connections. You can't, like I said, this is impossible for this to be coincidences.
Yeah, we're way past that, and no one has gone deeper than you have on this topic. And I hope we've carried or covered I mean, there's no way to cover everything. There really isn't. It's like every detail has so much nuance that you can go into.
Oh,
But I want to make sure we cover everything regarding what we're watching for this Saturday with March for our Elvis and
yeah,
everything else.
yeah. Let me just one last thing about Ohio. Ohio has the double crown in it, the two O's. Remember, I told you the O's are crowns. So it's got two crowns, O and the O at the end, and what's in the middle? The word high, like, implying that he's above God. So you got high, and HI equals 17. So you got the two crowns and the high, And by the way, remember I told you that Elvis died in the 16th state, and Trump is going to get the head one in the 17th state, which is Ohio. If you wrote the number 16 and put the TH with it, 16th, 16 plus the T and H, which equals 28. T is the 20th letter, H is the 8th letter. 16 plus 28 equals 44. So if you put 17th, 17 plus the TH, which is 28, equals 45. So you get the 16, 17 for the 44, 45, which is Trump. He's the 44, 45th president. You get it?
Yep, yep, absolutely,
Okay, so
absolutely.
now go
So,
ahead. What do you want to end it with? Go ahead.
well, I guess we have just a couple of questions. Someone had asked if you had a take on Trump giving Elvis a posthumous Medal of Freedom. I think you
Yeah,
might.
I showed that. I mean, I have some serious stuff on that if you want me to talk about it. Absolutely. It's up to you if
I
you
would
want me
say
to.
so. I would say so because everything about this Elvis Seattle thing does tie into Donald Trump, and it's just not a coincidence that he's rabble rousing right now. In fact, today is the January 6th committee. Right now, they're trying to bring up this 1/6 thing, which again 1/6, and then today's um, the ninth. So I'm kind of looking at this thing as yeah, he's on the world stage. He's making a lot of noise. So yeah, anything with Trump, I'd be happy to hear.
Yeah, hold on one second. I got to find the piece of paper. Hold on one second here. Where is that piece of paper with that info on it? Hold on. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So, so, uh, yeah. So you would think, because Elvis, the only president that he visited, Elvis, was Richard Nixon. So you would have thought it would have been Richard Nixon who gave him or I don't even know when these awards started. What was the awards again? I forgot, because I actually showed it, but I can't remember what it was
Yeah, I
called.
think it was
Kennedy Center. Oh, it's
yes,
Kennedy, right?
it was the Medal of Freedom that someone had asked about the posthumous Medal of Freedom.
Right, but wasn't it? Don't they do that at the Kennedy Center Awards? No, I don't know. I'm confused. But I know I did the video on it. What's really interesting about that is when Trump is giving the award to Elvis posthumously, he he plays a song. They're playing "How Great Thou Art," where in the song it says, "Oh Lord, my God," and stupid Trump, he's fixing his tie as if they're talking about him. And after they cut the song, Trump says, "That's the real king, the true king," or something like that about Elvis, right? Anyway, so during that award show, he gave a medal also to Babe Ruth, and sounds like Beirut, and that's where I was born. And Babe Ruth was born on August 16th, which is the day Elvis died.
Wow,
Okay?
wow. Trump, I mean, for him to be fixing his tie, I mean, he comes off as almost like Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate, who's just kind of slyly the devil, but he has this almost benign appearance. And uh, for people who don't know, the Devil's Advocate movie, the office that Al Pacino was in, was actually from Trump Tower. It was Trump's own office. So, they say these things in plain sight, and you're just not supposed to notice it, I guess, or connect the
Yeah,
dots.
and the guy was living in that place. Uh, he played the coach, whatever his stupid name is, I can't remember now. But Fox, Hayden Fox, or something like that. So the Fox I mean, that was his character name, I think. That dude who's playing in the Devil's Advocate, he was born on 4/4. But by the way, anyway, so Babe Ruth, he's born on August 16th, Elvis's death day. Then here's a couple other people that he gave an award to on that same day that he gave Elvis. Check this out. So he gave to Scalia. Scalia died, remember him? And he died on the 44th day of the year in 2016. So 2/13/2016, the 2/13 is February 13th, is the 44th day of the year, and then you got the 216 connection, 162, right? And it's been 44 years since Elvis died. So, like I said, it's going to be, this is it. And so Scalia dies, the justice guy. There was another guy who he gave an award to. His name was Roger Staubach. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. Roger Staubach is born in 1942, and he's born in Ohio. So there's an Ohio connection, okay? Watch this. There was another player he gave an award to during that same day that he gave Elvis an award. It was a football player named Alan Page. Alan Page is born in Ohio. And he was born on 8/7. Elvis turned 87 this year, and Trump's going to be probably getting his head wound on, I mean, not probably, he gets his head wound on August 4th and returns on 8/7 or 8/8. So this guy was born on 8/7, this Alan Page football player, and he was born in Ohio, okay? Now, recently, this is the last thing I think I have on this. Hold on. Recently, they had a death. Another guy who got an award that same day as Elvis and all the other people I just talked about was a guy named Orrin Hatch, who was a senator, a longtime senator. I think he was in senator for 33. I'm not sure. It could be 33 years, I think, because it was in. Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure now. But anyway, this dude, he dies at the age of 88. Oh, man, I'm trying to think. Oh, he dies at the age of 88, and you know, Trump equals 88. The word Trump, and also, he, like I said, Trump's going to come back either 8/7 or 8/8. I'm not sure because the 8/8 is the Lion's portal in that astrology crap. But anyway, he was the Utah senator. Utah is the 45th state, so that connects to Trump also. And his name, Orrin Hatch, has the initials for Ohio, OH. And he's born on 3/22. And he's born on 3/22.
Okay,
You see that?
and like 3/22 of 2021, we had the King Supers supermarket shooting where 33 union members were in the store number 33.
33.
A
That's
King
right.
33,
Store number 33.
such an obvious ritual. You brought up the number 44. Did you say MLK died on 4/4?
Yeah, MLK died on. Why? That's so amazing. You guys are bringing that up. Why'd you bring that up?
I brought that up because I guess you mentioned the numbers. You're talking about 88 or something, and I was looking at these various numbers, and I remember when Baldwin, who plays a Trump twin, shot Helena Hutchins, HH 88. He also shot Joel Souza, who was born on Trump's birthday, 6/14, but they were shot with the 44 at the Rust movie
And
set.
2 44s equals 88, right? And what's incredible is that you brought that up because this dude was born, this Orrin Hatch. Like I said, he's the Utah senator. He was the 45th. The 45th state is Utah, right? Which connects to Trump. And he's got the OH, Orrin Hatch initials, OH of Ohio. And check this out. He was born on 3/22/1934. If you went from 3/22/1934, you go forward to Trump's birthday, the exact day Trump is born in 1946, it's 4,468. And who died on 4/4/68? MLK.
Yep. Okay. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the 44 is a huge code here. The Rust shooting was with the 44. The Union was Union number 44. The Son of Sam during the 42-year blackouts I referenced was Mr. 44, and I happen to think 44. I brought this up before. I think it might have to do with some kind of a second coming situation, two crosses like the double cross. But anyway, I mean, yeah, what you pointed out here, very, very clear and concise. Trump has the number 88 often associated with him, especially in the Back to the Future series, where he was Biff Tannen. And of course, in that movie, he looks like a combination of Elvis and Trump.
And Trump. Yep, exactly. And his text number is 88022.
Yep,
You know.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing. This guy, he died. This Orrin Hatch, he died on 4/23/22. So from Elvis's birthday, from Elvis's death day to this guy's death, and he died at 88. Remember, so it's 44 years, 8 months, and 8 days from Elvis's death. 44 years, 8 months, 8 days, and the amount of total days is 16,322. And remember, he's born on 3/22. Elvis died on the 16th day of the year. Elvis died in the 16th state, and Trump is born in the 6th state. Elvis is born in Trump is born in the 6th month. Elvis born in the 1st month. There's your 1/6 again. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president who died, who was shot. Everything connects.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfolding. This picture's unfolding. And again, it really does sink in. Everything else kind of ties together here when you look at the fact that March for Our Lives is heavily connected to the Parkland. So March for Our Elvis, the Parkland, all across the country. They said 311,000 kids have been victimized by school shootings. Anyway, they're from Parkland, and JFK was taken to Parkland Hospital after his head wound. So there's a strong connection here all around. These connections are getting really interesting and intricate.
Yeah. And by the way, someone's mentioning the initials TMP. Yeah, you could either way. It's PT is 1620 or 2016, and the reason he's bringing that up is it's something to do with Trump. But really, his running mate was Pence. They ran as Trump Pence TP, which is 2016, and he got elected in 2016.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Anyway, folks.
Well, hey,
look to everybody.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go
please.
ahead.
No, I've had you on here for I believe it's been about an hour and 5 minutes. So yeah. Anything
No.
else you want to say to the people listening? Please. We have about almost 200 here.
Yeah, it's about an hour and 40 minutes, I think. But anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, just look, to the people who are kind of confused or maybe can't follow all this, you got to watch all my videos. You can't just watch one video. You will not grasp the magnitude. And especially watch all the videos that have to do with Elvis the Antichrist, and then just slowly watch all the other videos. Like I said, it takes time. If you are, searching for, Holy Spirit led information, you need to watch my videos. Okay. This way you'll understand that nothing is a coincidence. Coincidence. This is, like I said, this is from the Holy Spirit. This is no joke, man. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm glad you took the time, and I don't know what you're doing tomorrow or Saturday, but we're all going to be following, and I'm sending a link in the chat thinking maybe tomorrow a lot of people can go through and binge watch and follow the chats and the comments. I always learn stuff in the comments because it's you, but then you have a lot of people who've been following for a long time, despite the best attempts to have you run off these platforms, and the comments are often very insightful as well.
Yeah, I agree. We have great commenters, absolutely. And so, like I said, I'm gonna be doing another video tomorrow, which, like, I found some really incredible information, new information, but it just, like I said, solidifies again what I've already solidified. I don't have to show this, but I'm going to do my best to bring it out, this information. It's like, literally, it's like trying to explain the impossible. That's how hard it is, but I'm going to try and do it, on the spur of the moment. I'm not going to have anything prepared. I'm just going to throw it out there. That way you can see how amazing it is, this information. But I will be doing that tomorrow, and then on June 11th, I'll be doing live streams like I'll do a half hour every other hour. You know what I mean? Throughout the day on June
Okay.
11th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I look forward to it because I mean we're talking about something potentially I don't know what the word is. I mean, paradigm shocks. But whatever it is, we're watching, and I'm glad that you're able to come on here and talk about this. And you are the source for this set of what do you call it? Clues. And so,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's biblical. I'm telling you this. This is right out of Revelation. What you're about to see is Revelation playing out. Anyway, like I said, for the people who don't understand, you don't have to believe it. You'll believe it soon. Don't worry. Anyway, folks, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you getting to try and help anyone who's listening who might be in Seattle. Like I said, just get out for this 1 week. How's it going to hurt you?
absolutely. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you again, hopefully soon. And I'm putting a link to your channel in the chat. And I want to say also thanks to all of your listeners who've come in, and hopefully they find my channel interesting as well. But either way, thank you for taking the time.
All right, I just want to thank the viewers also. Thanks to your viewers and thanks to all the viewers from my channel who came over. God bless you. And remember, Jesus is God. All right, folks. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
I
it.
was going to say end the video. I'm thinking I'm on my own channel.
Yeah, yeah. End of video. Right. All right. Have a
Yeah.
good one. All right. A lot of new stuff. So much to go into, and I really hope things don't just. I don't want everything to black out before we have a chance to see what's actually unfolding here. So many fascinating connections here. It's unbelievable. Fascinating. I mean, I don't know what else to really say. I want to listen to this again and kind of take notes and follow on some of these things. And I don't really get too deep into the gematria stuff. I try to focus on the patterns, but the way he explains it, if you watch his channel, he shows you how he's arriving at things and how these words have similar values and how their meanings correlate. And of course, all these other very subtle and sometimes not so subtle once you see it, but other events, ritualistic events that are just forecasting what's to come. And again, this is all very intriguing. I think I got to everyone's questions for the most part. I mean, there's always going to be more. There's just so much more. I put a link to his channel, and also if you're in Seattle for some weird reason, if you're still there, you can go to Snohomish County Plaza, Redmond City Hall, Seabold Hall, and Manette Bridge. There are protests happening there. I found this weird thing. I don't know what to make of it too much, except Alec Baldwin dressed up as Donald Trump being trolled by the Donnie Darko rabbit. It's from Hollywood Reporter. I'll be going through a lot of these things also tomorrow, but I thought it was important to get Jail on here just to have him kind of speak about where he's coming from and how he's arrived at these things and what to expect. And I'm looking to the west here. So this has been Seattle 611 discussion with Jewrassicliars and Infinite Plane Radio. Please subscribe to the newsletter below if you want links to whenever we go live. I'm going to go ahead and just check up on the comments before I go here. And we do have a 24/7 live stream here, but I'm going to temporarily turn this one off and then I'll turn that one back on later. Taco Salad asks, how do I become a mod? Yeah, I hand out mods in order to keep the trolls. There are all these real perverse trolls running amok. We've been invaded. It's the bot wars. Also joined by Chalk Body Outline. Thanks for joining. Lean Dion says amazing. Thanks for joining us. Crypto Freedom Media says brilliant interview. Yeah, always a good talk. This is the third time we've talked. And yeah, we'll be live later to take calls. If you all want to subscribe, you won't miss anything. And if you get on my newsletter, I will send you links to this as a podcast. Infinite Plane Radio is on every single podcast platform out there. iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor. Just go find any of these podcasts and it'll be on there. I also get them transcribed. So all these talks do get transcribed, and the reason I do that is search engine optimization. So they can't bury the truth with all of their misinformation. their data poisoning. They put all kinds of wrong information to steer people away, and I do my best to make sure that our stuff does not ever get buried. We're like 122 channels deep into YouTube. That's how many times they've shut us down, and that's one of the reasons why I instantly sort of related to what he's working on and his butting heads with the system. There's a reason why channels like ours don't have 100,000 subs. It's because we are pulling back the curtain, peeling back, what they say, truth's protective layers, as Neil Armstrong said, one of the insiders. Anyway, there's so much predictive programming out there regarding the Seattle thing. It's far more voluminous than what predicted 9/11. And we'll see. We'll see what exactly happens, but I don't think the world has learned anything in terms of, are we collectively in a better position than before to deal with some kind of outrageous calamity? I don't think so. People just believe whatever's on the screen, as you all know, and they have all the useful idiots marching against their Second Amendment and freedom of speech on Saturday, March for Our Lives. So it should be fascinating. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. This is, yeah, Missy Davis remarked, the DHS issued a terrorism bulletin. Yeah, they're expecting some kind of right-wing thing. Again, that's why I looked at 6/11 closely. It's been predicted in all the movies, specifically lately the Batman movie, but also 6/11 is the death date of the 33-year-old, I guess you'd call him martyr, Timothy McVeigh. And if you start over from the beginning, or if you listen to this later, you'll hear many of his breakdowns about the symbolism with TM, among other things. Thanks for joining us again. I see a lot of new names in here, and so I'm handing out mod wrenches again. It's because we maintain order here as best we can. All right, this is Chief Crow, The Edges in Your Mind. I'll be back later on tonight.
To your brain.